Hi there, this is Dennis Velco with OutBüro. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of OutBüro Voices, where we have engaging conversations with LGBTQ professionals, entrepreneurs, and community leaders from around the world. And today we are chatting with Curtis Danskin-Ainslie. Thank you so much for chatting with us today, Curtis.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here, Dennis. I'm so excited to be with you. Thank you so much.
Well, awesome. Well, Curtis, I know we've been in contact for quite a while.
Oh yeah.
Both on LinkedIn and on outbureau.com. I've exchanged a few conversations and so forth, back and forth. But I always like to start off my shows with you sharing a little bit about your background. And then
Sure.
What kind of led you into what you're doing today? What was that aha moment, that spark of inspiration, and why the heck do you get out of bed every day and do what you do?
I love that, Dennis. So I'll help you peel back some of the layers here. I'm a CEO. I'm a certified life purpose coach. And I'm the CEO of OCR Virtual Incorporated. I'm a musician. I'm an ordained pastor. I'm husband to an amazing man named Robbie, daddy to an 18-pound cat and a 1.5-pound toy Yorkie named Tobin. So a little psychotic around here. I'm also a classically trained lyric baritone, classical, and church organist as well. And my company, OCR Virtual, is focused on really solving one key business issue for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs from all sizes of business. And that is that we bring order to administrative chaos. So I equip and train business owners by performing back office functions so they can continue doing what called them into business to begin with, instead of being in the back office. Most business owners were not called into business to sit at their computers and do all the administrative stuff. So we bring order to that type of administrative chaos. And I also provide mentoring and coaching to them as well. I'm also a life purpose coach, and I do a hard focus providing coaching for LGBTQ plus community for those who find it difficult to move past the damage that a religious organization or strongly religious family structure imposed. I understand firsthand the trauma this can cause and how it can make us feel less than. And whether people reject faith or looking to live life with fully with their faith, I can help people move past that. So both of my businesses, Dennis, were born out of adversity. And a lot of it was self-inflicted, and the rest just sucked. Those LGBTQ issues that have been prevalent for decades that impact our community and continue to do so today were working against me. Deep pain came from negative people, negative places. It took me a while to stop blaming others and get to the point where I am now. And here and now, as I look back and in deep gratitude for every situation, I'm a survivor of a 17-year failed marriage that was based on deception, a 25-year career that crashed and burned in a horribly painful, personal and soul-crushing way. And I finally came out at the tender age of 42. So I know what it's like to not come out of the closet, and I'm acutely aware of the atmosphere inside the closet and how many times we kind of come out halfway, and the danger of that, so that people only see a portion of ourselves. So I'm aware of the painful journey to self-actualization. And it's both of those that bring me my passion for business, for the realization that people need to surround themselves with other amazing people. And it's about our tribe. It's about building our sphere of influence. I got into this business because people needed help with both the coaching and the OCR Virtual. People needed help, and they weren't able to find it. So small businesses were failing by the droves because they couldn't find the help. And lots of people were saying, I'll help you, but there were thousands of applicants for one job. And so it was really difficult to find work. So I thought, how can I mold those two together? So in 2007, we started OCR Virtual. And so we provide the virtual executive assistance to people. And I use independent contractors from around the United States to do that. And we do work globally as well. So that's kind of what brought me into this, and the coaching is something I've been doing for years. But obviously, when I finally came out and fully came into myself, then my coaching business took off with a lot more authenticity than it ever had before. So that's exciting, and that's one of my greatest passions right now. So that's kind of peeling back some of the layers of who I am.
Okay. Well, you answered one of the questions I had, because I was curious with your business assistance program, if it was just you, or if you had other team members to do things. So appreciate that clarity there.
Yeah.
And what, and OMG, do I understand the issues of entrepreneurialism. And so many people, you have the vision for and the inspiration for what you want to do. But one of the examples that I kind of string throughout my conversations is I use the example of Susie the dentist. And, she's a fantastic cosmetic surgery dentist, but she didn't learn how to do marketing. She didn't learn how to do HR. She didn't learn how to do legal, right? And all the other facets of owning and operating a business. And so, I think it's very valuable for everyone out there to hear that it's okay to seek help. And whether that's help in your business or even help in your personal side of your life and doing your coaching, or even if that means going and seeking, going and seeking a support group, going and seeking, a mental health professional, if that's what's, needed. I think it's when you know that you have too much, whatever that is, it's too much, being able to raise your hand is, I think it's pretty courageous, because so many indicators in our life is like, you have to be everything. You have to be the top. You have to do, you have to be a super mom, supporting 3 children while also being a career person and also being a great wife, right? If that's, your makeup. And we as men, we have that too. You gotta go boom, 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 boom. And if you show any sign of, failure, you suck. And that sucks. It's not true.
Yeah. For some reason, we are brought up to believe that asking for help is weakness. But what happens when we in business, when we don't ask for help, when we fail to surround ourselves with people, and we have to surround ourselves with people who are better than we are in certain areas, right? That's how you build your strong team and your strong business tribe. But we were taught that was weak. We were taught that what do you mean you can't do this by yourself? What do you mean? What are you talking about? It's not weakness. It's strength to say, I can do this over here, but this person here is far better at it than I could ever dream of being. So it makes sense for me to place it in their lap. I started the company in 2007. And I was telling all my clients at the time, bring us on your team because teamwork makes the dream work. It's about surrounding yourself with everybody. But guess who didn't listen to his own advice? That would be me. So I went from 2007 until 2010 with nobody else on my team except me. What the hell was I thinking? I wasn't listening to my own advice. The very quarter that I brought on, my first one was my graphic designer, and then I brought an assistant, and then I brought on a board of advisories, all within the first month, who are now my board of directors. The very month that I did that, my numbers started increasing. My revenue was increasing because I realized I have more time to dive into what I am most passionate about in this business and with my clients, instead of getting off a call with them, trying to get off that call as fast as I can, because now I've got QuickBooks to do, and I've got some spreadsheets to do, and I've got some letters to stuff and things to print. Like, that's no way to run a company. But the Department of Labor actually had a report out there a couple of years ago that said 72% of small businesses will fail within the first 3 years. 72%. And the reason that most of them fail is because they're doing it all by themselves. Yeah. I meet them all the time, Dennis, and people will have an interview with me, and then they'll say, I just need to get a few things into place before I bring you on board. And I know right away I will never hear from them again, and that they will probably fail because they think that they have to get ready to bring people on. No, bring people on when you're going crazy, when you don't know what direction you're going in, because they're gonna help you. That's the key.
Very, very interesting. And I appreciate that perspective. It's how I feel.
Yeah.
That's why I'm working to bring people on board to OutBüro.com, because I'm going crazy.
And you will
work 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, my dear Dennis, you're going to burn yourself out. We all know it. You're going to burn yourself. You know it.
Oh, I'm already burned out.
And isn't that the weird thing? It's the weird thing that we all know it. Like, oh yeah, I'll burn out, but we don't do anything about it, and then we suddenly burn out. Like, well, how the hell did I get here? And I have a great executive assistant, Sean, who's just remarkable. I mean, anything that I give him, he does, and I don't have to worry about it. What a sense of relief and empowerment. But what we think is the issue. We think that if I give you this to do for me, that I'm not capable of doing that, and that's wrong. And then I have to fill my time with something else. Well, trust me, you're not going to have a problem filling that time. Mm-hmm. But we feel like I got to give a little piece of myself away. That's the only look. If you're driving your bus and you know your journey and you know your destination, and you don't have people on your bus who believe in you and are going in the same direction as you are, your bus ain't going anywhere. Kick them off your bus, put people on your bus who believe in you, who are passionate about you, and who will help you because they like to help and they're good at it. That's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me, this isn't my first rodeo. I've owned a couple of businesses in the past, and I've had staff. And it was interesting is my first business grew to 38 staff.
Wow. Nice.
75% had master's degrees.
Wow.
10% had doctorates. And although I had personally attended college credit-wise enough to get a degree because I switched, I actually don't have a college degree.
Okay. Yeah, then that's fine.
No, but everyone, but just because I was the boss, I knew everything. Everyone thought that I had a minimum master's degree.
Of course. Because
all of my clients were Fortune 500 and government entities, and then all of my staff. And, I never corrected them, it wasn't something that I shared, but, I had the ability to, bring those people aboard and do everything. And so, and some of them, were better at doing doing the consulting side of the things, but honey, it was still my company.
Exactly. And something, and the truth is that a degree does not a person make.
No, and most people don't even work in the field of the degree that they had. So really,
I'm a voice performance major. What am I doing with that now? I haven't done that. I haven't sung in a concert in almost 10 years. I sing in the shower, and that's about it. So yeah, but the journey to education, first of all, doesn't have to end with the graduation ceremony. The journey of education is about learning and about gaining belief in yourself and knowledge and skills. That's what it's about.
Well, absolutely. I literally learn something new every single day.
Amen. I love it. Yes.
Exactly. Well, and it's also because I deal with so many facets. So if I'm implementing something new, or if I'm, learning a new CRM solution, or if I'm, learning Amazon email services, which I'm doing right now.
Oh my Lord. Wow.
Yeah. I'm looking to, hopefully within about a year, to completely move off of the current hosting situation that I'm on now, because I've tried a couple hosting programs, hosting solutions, and move totally onto Amazon. So,
nice. Wow.
yeah, so I'm kind of halfway there right now. So I have most of my images all hosted on Amazon. I owe them an email right now. Yeah, they want to see all the emails that I send to make sure I'm not spamming. Right.
Of course. Yep. They're going to regulate you.
Look at my site. There's nothing about spam here. So anywho, but that, and then once this current hosting period ends, then move the database over as well. And it's if you're passionate about, and I love it, and it shows. And I learned about so many different things. There's so many different groups on OutBüro. There's Out Foodies group.
Well, I saw that one the other day. I'm like, that is so freaking cool. How cool is that?
And so my thing is that, OutBüro is for professionals and entrepreneurs, but as professionals and entrepreneurs, we're not just our work, right?
Exactly.
We need time also to deflate. And we have other interests. I love to cook and throw dinner parties. If I could have 10 people over and we're all
Where's my invitation, Dennis? I haven't seen my invitation.
Yeah. And if we're all sitting around the table and, and everyone's enjoying it, that makes me feel good, because food is love. When you're cooking for someone and that's love.
The best relationships are built in the kitchen and over the dining room table. Let me tell you. Yeah, that's where it happens.
So true. A big old hint for any suitors out there, because I'm single, is if I'm cooking, not in an authentic way, come up, snuggle me while I'm cooking, reach around, turn off the stove, and then get a little busy now and then.
That's nice. I love it.
Just anywho, just little tips, for you out there.
Little tips, people. Adding to the bio. I'm adding to the bio.
So, and I really can appreciate, also your story of coming from, a background of a bit of oppressing yourself and oppression from others. I've experienced some of that too. And it caused me to, for a while, I'll be honest, it caused me a little self-loathing, internal self-hating. And that was difficult. I had to learn to put boundaries and set expectations and love myself enough to say, no, what you're giving, I don't want, and I'm done.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, Dennis. I'll share with just a little bit of the what I call the horror turn in my life. Is that as I was starting to realize who I was and exploring that, I was also a church musician, and I was at a fairly large church here in Florida. And the senior pastor said to me, and I was the organist and director of music, and it was a huge program that we built. And they said to me, the senior pastor sat down and said to me, well, now it's time that we have this talk, son. Do not call me son. But he said, it's time to have a talk, son. He says, what they say about single male church organists, right? We can't have that for this. And so if you think that you're going to succeed as a musician, you best have a wife by your side. I was so scared, Dennis. I mean, I'm almost like crying now, just going back and remembering some of that. But it was so intense. And guess what I did? I married my best friend at the time. And so I was married to a woman for 18 years because I thought that that's what I had to do because I believed him, in order to be successful in the area that I felt called to be in at that time. And of course, this was the late 80s, early 90s. We didn't have the choice to marry our partners, right? We didn't have that choice. And so the only way that we could have any hope of having maybe some kids, some grandkids, nephews, extended families, family holidays was to do that. And that's what I did. And so I understand, as I say, the tremendous gut-wrenching pain of living in the closet and just peeking out the door once in a while, or maybe having one foot out of the closet. Like with certain friends, you were out, but with other friends, you were in. And when you were out, you were always looking over your shoulder to make sure nobody was looking.
Yeah.
So that type of trauma, and I learned through the years, and it's what I do in my coaching business, is how to turn that trauma into my superpower. And when I finally figured out how to do that, it was just so freeing and so empowering. And now it's like, now I get, I think I told you when the last time you and I chatted, that I firmly believe that everything that happens to us, including the bad decisions that we make, because we all make really bad decisions. We all do. And we're going to in the future. That's just the very nature of humanity, right? But everything that happens to us, good and bad, to us, happens for us, not to us. And it becomes a very important thread in the fabric of who we are. And removing one of those pieces of thread diminishes who we are. So I spent all those years trying to remove these threads from the fabric of my being, and I was weakening myself. It was only when I realized all those things have brought me and made me the man that I am today. And now I can say I am super proud of that man, because I came through those storms and I celebrated the victories, and look at me now. So that's one of that's my biggest passion in the coaching, Dennis, is that I adore watching people try on their superhero cape and get fitted for that. And then I get to teach them how and train them how to fly and how to jump, how to stand proud and stand tall. And that brings me it's so rewarding. And I do that for people of all ages and couples and small groups. And it's really exciting when people realize that those bad things don't have to be removed from your life. They don't. We don't need to dwell on them, but they are they're part of who we are.
Yeah. And I think it's about putting it, if you're like me, you run a lot of shit through your head all the time.
Oh, preach it. Preach it.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, yes.
Right?
Yep.
But it's how you frame that story is what's important. Yes, this happened, or yes, this happened over an extended period of time, but now I no longer allow that. And I choose how I move forward.
Yeah. Because you decided that it happened for you, not to you. You didn't say, "Oh, why did it happen to me? Poor me, poor me, poor me." Say, "Wait, this happened for me." Robbie and I had a fairly, we had this dream, and we still have this dream of moving to California. So we went to California and we went out there, and everyone was saying it's really expensive. We're like, okay, well, let's see what really expensive is. And holy crap, it's really expensive. And we came home and we're like, oh crap. But all we needed to do was like, no, I just need to we need to reboot. Let's not say poor me. Why did this happen? Not why did this happen to us, but why is this happening for us? And we realized that this was happening for us because we had to put a lot of other things into play and into place and get a lot more things organized before we can realize and pursue our dream of moving to California. And that's the mindset of this is happening for me, not to me. And if everybody could get out of that mindset, well, we would be so much happier and so much more successful. We really
yes.
would.
Well, good for you for wanting such high state income taxes.
I know, right?
Wow, that is so cool. And Lots of earthquakes, so many all the
I
time, and
know.
it's increasing.
I
I,
know
I
it is
yeah,
crazy.
I lived in California for 4 years. I lived in Long
Okay.
Beach, which
Nice.
is on the border south of Los Angeles, between
Hmm.
right on the border of literally. I could walk and I would be in Orange County. You
Yeah.
know,
Wow.
I was like on the edge, right? And that's where our son was born. My
Okay.
ex husband and I adopted our son at birth.
Oh, beautiful.
And so, yeah, he was born in San Bernardino, but we were then living in Long Beach
Nice.
at the time. And it is lovely. Let me tell you, I love Southern California. I've traveled. I've been to San Francisco. For 2.5 years, I worked for a company that was based in San Mateo, which
Sure. Yeah.
is, in the Silicon Valley area. But of course, I wasn't going to stay there. So I would always stay in the Castro
Of course.
and then drive to work.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was both good and bad all at the same
Good.
time.
That's where we want to move actually, to San Francisco. But we both, after visiting there, we're like, okay, so if we're really coming out here, but we want to still succeed in business and in our relationship, we need to live on the east side of the Bay and not in San Francisco, because there's far too many distractions in San Francisco, because I could make an excuse every single day why I can't work that day. So yeah, it's all about focus. I got to remember that focus. But it is beautiful out there. But like with everywhere, it has its challenges. Here we have the hurricanes. Okay, yes, we see them coming. We don't see the earthquakes coming, but we also have other issues, and everywhere has their political issues and bizarre political, socioeconomic things. But really, life is about what you make of it, where you land, right?
Absolutely.
But what's remarkable is that a lot of us have the option to choose where we land. And to be able to do that, we recognize that as a tremendous gift and an opportunity. And we're like, okay, so we're going to choose to land there eventually. And then we're going to choose what to do when we land. How does that look? How does that feel? What does our future look like there? And so all these elements are being put into play. But that's the life journey, right? I mean, as I teach people life purpose, my whole focus is helping people to find their place in this world. And that's what we're doing. It's like, because we know that where we are right now is not our place in this world. It's served us well for 7 or 8 years now, but now it's time to pack up and go somewhere else and find another place in this world.
Awesome. Well, if you would like to still be in a no income tax state and so forth, and be in a big old gay place, come on down to Fort Lauderdale so we can hang.
Let me tell you what, I went to Fort Lauderdale in the mid '80s. Boy, do I have some stories to tell. I will not tell them on this podcast. But wow, Fort Lauderdale is
it's only
crazy.
Gotten bigger and everything else. And I totally can appreciate the whole pros and cons, because my past career required me to for working with Fortune 500 companies and government agencies. I had to travel 70 to 80% of my life for 13 plus years or relocate. So in the span of 14 years, the longest I've ever lived anywhere was 2 years.
Wow.
It was constantly moving,
It's hard.
Yeah. It was hard. That's actually why I started the LinkedIn group whenever I saw that feature come up back now 13 years ago. It was toward the end of that career. But yeah, it was tough. So what is your typical client? Or what's the kind of client that, typically reaches out to you?
The client who typically, that's not an easy question, because but I'm going to focus on first the ORC Virtual side, the business side. The typical client that reaches out to me is a small business owner who is probably went to some training event, seminar somewhere, spent a lot of money to learn how to get rich quick, and then they get back home and they have an oh shit moment, and they realize they have no idea what they're doing. And then they come to me, and I am the lucky one to say, you do know what you're doing, you just haven't figured out the words yet. And so these are entrepreneurs who are struggling by themselves, or they have a staff that's just not working for them. And I can come in and I talk to them about aligning task with talent. You know, if your team isn't working if your assistant isn't working for you, maybe he's not a really good assistant. Maybe that's not where his strengths are. And so I help the businesses do that. So I help them do everything from filing for their LLC to writing their SOP to writing their processes and procedures, and then mentoring and coaching and being available to them so they can pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, or can you help me with this? Or, hey, Curtis, I want to call you because this really cool thing happened to me. So that's my typical client. Right now, the industries that we serve, they're all over the board. But right now, we serve a lot of real estate investors, and I have done some real estate investing coaching before, and I still do that occasionally. So realtors, real estate investors, nonprofits and churches, and graphic designers, salons. Really, a small business. If I always tell people, say if you're a small business and you're doing all the back office yourself, you're doing the whole I own my own business thing wrong. And that's why you need to come to us. So, and in the coaching thing, Dennis, it's people come to me because they're looking what I say when I say to them, I want to help you find your place in this world, that usually resonates with them. They're feeling lost. They get up every day and they realize they're just going through the motions, or maybe they're not even going through the motions. Maybe they're just barely getting out of bed every single day, and they want to find their superpower, and they don't. And a lot of them don't believe they have a superpower to be found. So I've got some people who come to me and say, "Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to do this for me, but I'm going to give you a shot." And of course, it works, and a lot of them are still with me to this day. So it's and I'm excited. I get really excited because I offer several different coaching specialties, but the one that really focuses on helping LGBTQ plus community to come to grips with, again, the pain that was caused by either family rejection or faith-based rejection because of who they are and the coming out process, that needs to be addressed. And a lot of times it's just like, oh, that's really sad, let's make a movie about it. But we all know how that movie turns out, right? Seriously, if you see a movie, you're like, oh yeah, their family rejected them, big surprise. We know how this is going to end up. And I'm like, why don't you write your own ending to your own movie instead? Let's get together, let's write the script, because you are the director of your life, not the circumstances that are happening to you, and not all the people around you are directing, but you're allowing them to direct your life. And so I get to walk that journey with them, and it's a privilege, it's an honor, and it's super exciting for me to do that.
Very cool, very cool. Well, again, I know that particular situation all too well, and it took me going through a divorce and everything else to actually come to grips with it. And, I've shared in many of my shows, my father is extremely right-wing, evangelical, crazy, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And other stuff that I've not shared on the show that wasn't directed at me, but was an extreme right-wing, cultish kind of experience that I grew up in. And I've been told that I could write a movie about our experiences numerous times, because it was, it was crazy. But it got to the point where, we would only have conversations, that was about work, or about gardening, or about home improvement, stuff.
Compartmentalized, yep.
Yeah, very compartmentalized. And so 2.5 years ago, I was getting ready to move to Fort Lauderdale, and it was Christmas. So I was at my sister's, and he's like, "Oh, I hear you're moving south." Yeah.
So, right.
He's so why there? Fort Lauderdale is known, right?
Of course. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's like that in San Francisco. It's like, oh, yeah.
So he's like, "Well, why?" And I'm like, well, I like larger cities. I've always enjoyed, my time in Washington, D.C., L.A., New York, etc. I like a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes, oh, well, and he kept pressing. I'm like, well, it's a much larger community. Community? Well, what do you mean by that? There's a community here.
He's pushing. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he would do. I would try to keep it, on a narrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I said anything, and he would push and push and push and push, and as soon as I said, finally, the gay community,
Mm-hmm.
he immediately started into literally quoting scripture. Mm-hmm. And all of this kind of, going down that whole path. I had to say, no, stop.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My finger literally was in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister had to come over. She's like, ah. But, I had to go, you know what? This isn't going to change. I'm not going to change you. And you are definitely not going to change me.
Right.
And I love myself enough to not put up with this shit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we've not spoken since.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. Yeah,
but
it is.
What on the superpower thing, though, what I will share with you is I told him, thank you, actually, because you have made me such a hard ass that now my whole life does nothing but focus on the LGBT community. My whole business, my life, my business is nothing but the LGBT community. And I don't know if I would have had the strength, because to do that.
Yeah. There's we know about bullies, right?
Yeah.
We know about bullies, and in our family, bullies also. When people bully us and then they throw the Bible, as a pastor, it greatly offends me when they start to twist the scripture to suit their needs, and that's because that's not what it's for. But when those bullies show up, they just drag us down. There's a tremendous author and coach and speaker. Her name is Roshana Price, and she wrote The Giver of Awesomeness, and she talks about bullies bringing gifts to us. And it's important for us to understand that the negative people in our lives, the people who are bullying us, the people that are throwing hate at us, are actually giving us a gift. We just need to figure out what that gift is. And you figured out what that is with him. You're like, no, you know something? The gift here is you're bullying me, and now the gift is that I now clearly see the type of man I do not want to be. So thank you very much for doing that. And so I'm going to go be the person that I believe my God is calling me to be. And if you don't agree with it, that's great. Go ahead. But as a pastor, some people are really confused when they hear that I'm a pastor and I'm an out and proud gay man. Like, how does that work? How does that work together? And that's a long conversation to have. But it comes down to, do we really think that if you believe in a higher power in creation, do we really think that we're all just these poured into a mold and pushed out, that we're all supposed to be exactly alike? Why is it so impossible that if you look all around you at the diversity of the planet, take away the humans, but look at the diversity, why wouldn't humanity be just as diverse?
Absolutely.
So that's what I try to celebrate every single day, is the diversity of the higher power that I believe in. And I try to help people do that. I don't push my faith. I am a practicing Christian, but I love Buddhism. Buddha himself is one who said, you don't study Buddhism to become a better Buddhist. You study it to become a better whoever you are. And I don't push push that on anybody, but I will help people explore their spiritual wellness and what it means to them, and how important it is for all of us to figure out how to and the important role that spiritual wellness can play in your life.
Absolutely. I'm spiritual, not religious myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and that comes. Yeah, I understand that because I teach I do a small group, a wellness group, where we go through the wheel of wellness. And when we get to the spiritual part, I tell people it's like the most common thing that people say is, well, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious, because we now have the need to separate ourselves from organized religion. Which is fine if you want to separate yourself. I don't go to church because I don't go to an organized religion, and that's okay. But for other people, it's absolutely okay, and we have to respect one another. We have to honor each other, and we need to agree to disagree. And it's really sad. It's painful that that you and your dad have come to this particular part in your life, and you just can't agree to disagree. And then look at all the other areas of your life that you could match up. That it's just this one area that you keep butting heads with. But there's so much more. There's so many more layers to the relationship that could be unpeeled and enjoyed and loved and adored.
I know we're getting close here to our scheduled time. Is there anything perhaps you'd like to share before we close out?
Well, I'll share this with the business entrepreneurs out there. I want everyone to work like you don't need the money. And what I mean by that is I want you to work ethically, morally. I want you to work because that's where your passion is. And I don't want you so focused on money that you lose your sense of purpose, your sense of power, your sense of well-being, and who you are and what brought you into the business to begin with. So yeah, work like you don't need the money. The money will come. The money will happen. But if you get that element out of your head, then you can focus on being an authentic, transparent business person.
Gotcha. Well, super. Well, it's been a nice flowing conversation with you, Curtis.
It's been fun, Dennis. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's continue some conversations in the future. I'll look forward to that.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for staying tuned to this very interesting and winding conversation. I hope you've enjoyed it just as much as we've enjoyed chatting with each other and having you as our guest. Be sure to hit the like or subscribe button on whichever application or website that you're listening to. As a reminder, you can view this not only on OutBüro.com under content and episodes, but on YouTube and now 15 podcasting apps, including Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Apple, and so many others. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and be sure that you also get to OutBüro.com and create your profile and begin networking with other LGBTQ professionals and entrepreneurs today. Thank you so much. I'm Dennis Velco. Bye-bye.